You run right by his ass. Scare him to death. The effort was outstanding. How about those Raiders, man? If you're late for work, if you're out of shape, you're not knowing what to do, you're gonna never, ever be able to live with yourself. So you guys got a chance to do some good things.
The Raiders have won the AFC West.
Those fans at Oakland, they're unlike any others. And I get emotional thinking about it.
Raiders! How about them chokers? Who's eating barbecue chicken tonight? Boom! Chokers lost. I'm pumped, dude. Who watched that game? Huh? Who watched that game? I hope every Raider fan eats some barbecue chicken tonight, because I can't tell you how pumped I am. Those damn chokers lost, right? Beginning of the game, referees throwing that game. I was like, I'm guaranteed, man. These chokers they're gonna win it. The refs are throwing the game, dude. I was like, I can't believe some of this stuff going down. But shout out to the Jags, man. I told people when we played the Jags, they will be no joke, man. Eventually, when Trevor Lawrence gets it turned around, I know he threw a ton of interceptions the first half, but man, that's my guy, dude. Trevor Lawrence, that's the quarterback. That's my favorite quarterback in the last, like, I'd say 10 drafts, right? I knew we couldn't get him, so it wasn't realistic. But, man, what a game, dude. Shout out to the Jaguars. If there's, like, one good thing once we're out of the playoffs is, like, if chokers and Chiefs can lose. They do that, I'm pumped, man. So shout out to everybody in the chat. Hopefully you guys are having a good night. That was an awesome game. I did a live video earlier getting into, breaking down, some landing spots for Derek Carr, realistic, potential spots. My power cut out literally right as I was getting close to finishing that video. So I do want to dive back into that, wrap that video up. But let's kind of give a shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Mike Rose, dude. You ain't a Raiders fan no more? Well, then best of luck to you, man. I'm always going to bleed silver and black, bro, no matter what. So Southside Raider in the house. Yeah, that choker showed, man. They choking on chicken tonight. They choking on some barbecue chicken tonight. Boom, dude. That's what I'm talking about, man. If you don't want to be a Raiders fan, dude, then just move along, bro. Move along, man. I ain't going to stop you from, dude, being a Raiders fan. I'm not going to help you be a Raiders fan or stop you. You do what's best for you, bro. Cuban Raider, man, what up, dude? That's right, choking hazard, dude. Hell yeah, Raider Nation for life. Yeah. So, Cuban Raider, dude. Midway, unfortunately, I was going to, and I was like, I'll just have it on background, and then when the Jaguars got that touchdown before halftime, that kind of gave me a little glimpse that they might be able to pull something out of it, Yeah. Anybody else that watched it, dude? Hell yeah. I know Raider Nation's excited, man. That's right. They choking, dude. Yeah. They got all that talent, dude, and what they do with it, man. What they do with it. So they went all in, guys. If you look at the Chargers cap space, that won't be this video because this is going to be, just kind of dedicated to Derek Carr, and potential landing spots. But damn, dude, that felt good. If there's one thing, man, anybody in our division lose a playoff game, that means one less chance for them to get a Super Bowl and either tie us or, have a chance to compete with us. So, yeah, dude, hopefully everybody's doing good tonight. Yeah, Cuban Raider said it. Jags have magic this year, dude. Yeah, hell yeah. All right, so let's get back into it. All right, well, here's what we're gonna do since my power cut out doing the last video. If you guys weren't around for when I was doing that, I was breaking down potential landing spots. I won't get too deep into it. Go back, you can watch the other video where I went more into it, but we will revisit just kind of the yes and no's and maybes of potential landing spots. And then, I'll wrap it up. There was two teams I think people wanted to see that I didn't get to before my power cut out, and that was the Niners and the Cardinals. So, anybody else as we're going through this, if you guys want to, comment or a team maybe we didn't look at, just let me know and I can look up that one as well. So, all right. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to kind of go back through. We're going to get into, potential landing spots for Derek Carr. There's a lot of people I think are a little misconstrued evaluating like where Derek Carr can realistically land. So we started out first was the Jets. Okay. Jets, essentially the conclusion was, can the Jets sign Derek Carr? And my conclusion was no, unless they cut or trade 2 players, which would be somebody like put my phone out of the way here. Someone like maybe a Carl Lawson. They could save about 15 million there. CJ Mosley is one, but they would take a big hit, a $14 million hit, and they'd only save about 6.5 million. But, essentially the way I was looking at this earlier, guys, was whatever this number is, add in 15 to 20 million. Okay. Cause everybody's cap is going to be increased. So I was using like 20 million as like a kind of round number. So if you look at the Jets, they have about 3 million available. If you add the 20 million in, that's 23 million. So there's still probably at least about, if you add in the 20 million, probably 10 to 15 million short from having enough money to sign Derek Carr. So my conclusion was, like, as far as Jets go, that would be a no, in my opinion. Okay. Now I know everybody thinks, backload contracts and all that stuff. Not exactly going to go back through it, guys. Let me see if I can get this to pull up here. Not exactly going to go back through it, because we already did it. But essentially what we were doing was we were looking at teams that were potential landing spots, and we were looking at teams that, people are thinking that would be a landing spot. So like here was one, the Saints. We'll go back over it. Saints have negative 50 million in cap space. So Derek Carr ain't going to the Saints. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that was a place I thought might be good for Derek Carr. They have negative 42 million. And then the Titans. So we'll go through these, and then some other teams that might have like a positive cap space as well. So, but the point is like when going back to, I guess my original point is stupid pop-up ads. Going back to my original point, when you backload the contracts, guys, you end up in really bad situations like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Saints. Okay. So everybody thinks there's this endless cash cow amongst the NFL teams and stuff where you can backload these contracts. It catches up with you guys. All right. And that's why you see the Saints in the situation that they're in. So Jets. So back to my original point, Jets, I don't think they got enough money, guys. So I'm going to say no on the Jets. Then I'm going to go through like my list. Next up was Colts. A lot of people thinking the Colts is a good match. So we're going to dive into the Colts again. Just do a quick refresher here. Come on, pull up. All right, here we go. All right, Colts. So the Jets would have to cut 1 to 2 players for him to go there, okay? So I don't think that's realistic unless they want to trade us CJ Mosley, which I would take. I'd love that, but I just don't think the Jets are going to do that. So Colts got a little bit more, okay? Now the Colts, if they cut Matt Ryan, so if we go down here, we're going to cut Matt Ryan, they're going to save this 17 million. So watch the cap space number increase right here. Once we cut Matt Ryan, now they're going to take a big hit too, though, 18 million. Okay. So if we were the Colts and we cut Matt Ryan to bring on Derek Carr, they'd have about 30 million available plus say 20 million. So about 50 million. That would be enough for them to take on Derek Carr if they got rid of Matt Ryan, and possibly, they possibly might be looking to see where they could free up some more, cap space. Maybe this guy, Ryan Kelly, you can go down the list and see who else would, save them some money. I'm not going to dive back into it because I did that last time. But so Colts, it's possible, guys. It is possible. However, like I said earlier, with the coaching change and stuff, I don't see that as like necessarily a good fit because Derek Carr wants to go somewhere with a stable organization, unless it's maybe with a Greg Olson that was his previous coach. Okay. Next up, we'll do the Buccaneers. Buccaneers is like a for sure no, in my opinion. Okay. But we'll still look at it real quick. All right. So Buccaneers right here, guys. 43 million negative, dude. Even with a 20 million cap increase, they won't have the money. And I just don't think they have enough. I mean, even without signing Derek Carr, guys, they'd still be like negative. We'll say put that down to 23 million. So they're still negative 23 million, you know. And yeah, they could backload some contracts, restructure some stuff, but they're in cap purgatory. And this is what happens, guys. This is what happens when you pay Tom Brady like this, right? So Tom Brady, you know, took a contract and they backloaded the contract, and now Tom Brady is a free agent, not going to be playing for the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers got to pay him $35 million. So imagine being a free agent and your previous team still has to pay you $35 million. So Brady's going to make out pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying? So Buccaneers, I'm going to say no. Pull up my list here. Next up would be Saints. So a lot of people thinking the Saints would be a good fit. You know, now I did originally think the Buccaneers would be a good fit, but once you crunch the numbers, it's just not it's just not really possible. You know, if the math don't work out, you know, you have to think about it. Like, take your fan hat off, put your general manager hat on, and see if it even makes sense. Okay. So Buccaneers, no. All right, New Orleans Saints, negative 52 million, dude. This is because they backloaded Drew Brees' contract. And like I said earlier, everybody thinks Sean Payton is a good coach. Dude, Sean Payton, dude, he kicked rocks. He left right when he knew all these cap numbers was going to catch up with the Saints, and he left them hang high and dry because he knew that they were going to be hurting for talent and not have the money to spend, and it was going to fuck up the organization. So, you know, he might be a good play caller, but he completely, utterly screwed over the Saints when you look at this. And, you know, you start looking at, well, take this number, subtract 20 million because the cap increase, and no matter what, they're still going to be like $33 million. They got to figure out how to be under the cap. So they're going to have to be cutting or trading guys, you know. Jameis Winston, they could do, say we cut him. That's going to help a little bit, but they only dropped it down to like, say, 49 million. So, the Saints are going to have to figure out a way to either restructure some of these contracts or trade or cut some of these players. So, Saints are going to be a definite no, in my opinion, as far as Derek Carr. Whether people think that they want Derek Carr to go there or because of Dennis Allen or whatever, it doesn't matter. They don't have the money, guys. If money talks, if you don't got the money, I mean, it doesn't even matter. All right, next up. Someone said Patriots. Now, Patriots was an interesting one. I don't want Mac Jones. I don't like Mac Jones, guys. Hopefully Patriots pulls up here in a minute. But, Patriots would have enough money. They'd have about 61 million right here. But I don't want Mac Jones. And it just doesn't make sense for them. If you go down here, scroll down till we get to Mac Jones. All right, here's Mac Jones. Guaranteed 9.2 million. Okay. And then about 5 million negative, So from a business standpoint, it just wouldn't make sense for the Patriots to move on from Mac Jones to get Derek Carr. So I'm going to say the Patriots is another no. Derek Carr would not be going there. Panthers, that's an interesting one. Okay. Now, as we're, pulling up here on the Panthers, thing to consider is the coaching changeover. Derek Carr wants to go to stable organization. Okay. But the only way the Panthers could do it, if you look at this, they're negative 6.6 million, is the Panthers would have to like cut or trade Shaq Thompson, okay, who's a stud. And I'd be willing to do that if I was the Raiders. So if we look here, Shaq Thompson, right? Owed 11 million, dead cap, or cap savings, would be 13 million. So Shaq Thompson, a little bit older in age, but linebacker. Now that's a possibility that the Raiders might be able to trade for a guy like a Shaq Thompson. You know what I'm saying? So, looking at Shaq Thompson, I like him. We need linebackers. So that could be a consideration, but the Raiders would have to like decide if they want to take on that like $11 million, to their salary, So, but that's something to consider. That would be, something where all the parties involved would have to be willing to, click back on this. All the parties involved would have to be willing to, like do a trade essentially for Derek Carr. So, there's no way that the Panthers could do this unless they're willing to get rid of like somebody, and probably the most likely player would be Shaq Thompson, So if the Panthers really wanted, Derek Carr, they could get him, but they're going to have to, at least cut Shaq Thompson or trade him. And then who was the other guy? It was I have it written down here. Pat Eflin was the other guy they'd have to consider, who's I think he's a center. So, that might be enough if they did him and Shaq Thompson to be able to move on, from their current situation and get Derek Carr. So, I'd say the Panthers are a maybe, but some other things still got to happen. Okay. One of the other teams was the Titans. So let's pull up the Titans here, guys. Titans was, they're at negative 23 million cap space. Now they do have Ryan Tannehill under contract. They could cut him and save the 17.8, but they're also going to eat 18.8. And I'm not sure that Derek Carr is an upgrade from like Ryan Tannehill. I think they're pretty equal. Maybe you could say Derek Carr is a little better at times, but so let's just kind of do it like we were going to cut him. So that'd put him about like negative 5 million. Plus the 20, they're still going to be about 15 million, only 15 million above the cap. So they'd have to come up with another 10 to, I don't know, maybe 20 million in there. So they'd still have to be willing to move on from somebody. So this is the interesting one to me. If we're looking at the Titans, it would be this dude right here, super stud offensive lineman. I know he's dealt with some injuries at times. Where'd it go? Oh, Taylor, Luan right here. So with Taylor Luan, offensive tackle, 14.8 million. So if they were willing to trade him and cut Ryan Tannehill, they could get Derek Carr. Pull up Taylor Luan's kind of shit right here. So, and this guy's a stud, man. He's a little bit older, age 31, but we need offensive tackles. That would be something I'd be willing to explore. But at the same time, if you're the Raiders, you got to look at like all sides of the coin, okay? And you have to decide if you're willing or wanting to take on this $14.8 million contract, essentially $15 million. So you got to ask yourself, you got $60 million available if you're going to pay a quarterback. If we keep Josh Jacobs plus defense, that money's going to, fall away real quick if you spend that much on an offensive lineman. But we need it. If the goal is to get Tom Brady, we need veteran offensive linemen, guys. You can't get someone like a Tom Brady if that's the direction they're going to go and expect some rookie to fill in, learn Josh McDaniel's system and all that shit and do very good. So this is actually a good guy to target as even though he's not a free agent, but to maybe possibly do a trade for. So the Titans is a maybe not probable. Okay. Probably not very likely, but it's a possibility. No matter what, where they're at right now, like they're in some trouble here with negative 5.6 million. So you add in the plus 20, they'd be about 15 million over the cap. So they could keep their current situation, keep Ryan Tannehill, ride it out for another year and whatnot. So Titans be a maybe. Next up was Dolphins. Okay. A lot of us were like, well, what about the Dolphins? Okay. I think Derek Carr would like to be on the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins would probably like Derek Carr as well. But looking at this, I'm not sure exactly it makes sense, Shout out to everybody in the chat, dude. Kind of get through a couple of these, then we'll get in your guys' comments. Anything you guys want to chime in on? All right, so here's the Miami Dolphins, guys. They're about negative 6 million. So they'll have about 14 million after the cap is adjusted. Okay. And then we scroll down. Now, the reason why we're looking at the Dolphins, because it's most likely Tua probably won't be, part of their team next year with his concussion issues and stuff. It's too much of a liability. But when you break down the Dolphins and where they're at, I mean, they got to free up a lot of money. I mean, if they're plus 14 million going in next year, okay, they might need to cut a guy like this. That would save them 4 million. Cut or trade. I know most of these guys would be traded, kind of thing. Here's Tua, dude. See, this is what's like hurts teams, man. Is this guy's hurt and they got to pay him almost $10 million. So, Tua is like gonna make, that dead money is gonna hit him if he's not part of their organization. So, And most of these isn't very much, you know what I mean? They might be able to save 3.5 right here, you know. So I'm gonna probably say that the Dolphins would have to trade like 3 players. They'd have to dump 3 players on their team to get somebody like a Derek Carr to take on either Derek Carr's current contract or to get a new contract, like start a new contract with Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr, no matter what, is probably going to get 30, 35 mil. I'm not sure if he'll get that 40 mil mark, but I think he'll get probably at least 30 mil. And then Commanders. So the Commanders is an interesting one, keeping in mind that it's like a messed up organization that if Derek Carr is looking for stability and stuff, I'm not convinced the Commanders would be a good fit. But they're at like 12 million right here. Okay. They do have Carson Wentz, right? So if we cut Carson Wentz, like they'll take 0 dead money, but they would save like 26 million. So let's just say we were to do that. So that would put them at 38 million plus 20. So they're going to be at 58 million here. Okay. So they really don't even need to try to trade anybody. I mean, they could look at that, but they probably don't need to trade anybody. And so the Washington Commanders, that's an interesting one, and they would have enough money if they cut Carson Wentz. So I'm going to say yes to Commanders. Derek Carr could go to the Commanders. Next up, someone asked about this one, and this is an interesting one that I wasn't really thinking of, but I think it's one to consider. The Ravens. Where's the Ravens? It's Ravens. All right. So the Ravens currently have 40 million in cap space, right? And so if we look at it, plus the 20 million, they'd be at like $60 million. Okay. So with 60 million, you know, they don't even need to trade or get rid of any of their guys. I know everybody thinks that, you know, probably Lamar Jackson is going to be a Raven next year. I'm not convinced on that, guys. So, you know, Lamar Jackson's going to want to get paid, and he's going to want about 40 mil a year. So if the Ravens, for some reason, feel like they don't want to pay that kind of money, they could go out and get Derek Carr if they wanted to, and pay Derek Carr less money than what, you know, Lamar Jackson would be making. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson, a lot better player, a super talented athlete. So, you know, there's definitely that difference. The next one was the Texans. Okay. We looked into the Texans. So far the yeses, we have Commanders, we have Ravens. Texans is the next one. They like don't put in alphabetical order, but whatever. All right. So Texans cap space 38 million. So you look at that, you know, plus the 20 million, they're going to have 58 million, almost $60 million in cap space. So they don't got to trade anybody or none of that. However, they pick second overall in the draft. So that, you know, they would need to look at it from a standpoint, you know, if they want to, you know, chance going on Derek Carr instead of trying to get like a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. So I'm not, you know, they're picking so high in the draft. I'm not convinced they'd be willing to go the Derek Carr route. Plus, Derek Carr's brother played for them. I don't know if Derek Carr would want to go play for them, plus a new coach. So, again, this would have to be a situation where Derek Carr would feel comfortable with the organization, that it's a good fit for him, as well as, you know, does it make sense, you know, with where they're at? Are they in rebuild mode, or are they in win now mode? They're probably closer in a rebuild mode than win now, you know. And Commanders, I don't know. They probably have a better win now team than the Texans, but it is a warm climate. They could pursue it if they wanted to. Okay. Falcons. So we'll say Texans as another possibility. Okay. Next up, we'll go to the Falcons, Atlanta Falcons. All right. Now the Falcons is pretty interesting, man. They got a lot of money. Okay. 61 million plus the 20 million. They'd be about 81 million. They don't got to cut anybody or anything like that. They definitely have the money. I'm just not sure where they're at as an organization. They did bench Marcus Mariota. It was like week 13 or something. Like the last 4 games of the year, they benched Marcus Mariota and whatnot. And so I'm not sure that they are in a situation that's a good fit for Derek Carr, just based off of like maybe some of the, you know, coaching staff and stuff like that. You know, I think this is another one kind of like the Texans. where if you were to bring on Derek Carr, you should probably bring on someone like Greg Olson, bring in that playbook, something that Derek Carr already knows. So, but the Falcons got enough money. So I'm going to call the Falcons a yes. I'm not saying this is like what's most likely. I'm just looking at the numbers from a general manager standpoint. Is it even physically possible? Okay. So Falcons would be a yes. Another interesting one, Seahawks. So let's pull up the Seahawks here, who lost today. It was close, and then they just got burned out. So Seahawks, they're at 48 million, pretty much 49 million plus 20 million. They're going to have a lot of money to spend, guys. 69 million. They could stick with Geno Smith. They're also drafting really high in the draft. I'll pull it up here in a minute after we go through all these. I'm almost done, but 49 million plus the 20 million, they'd be almost 60 million, almost 70 million, or no, 68 million. So, but anyways, the point is, they have enough money where the Seahawks is an interesting fit. Good coach, good organization, stable. Derek Carr could be a Seahawk. So Seahawks is a yes. They have the money to make it happen if they want to. Okay. And yeah, some of these, organizations, they can backload the contract, but then you end up in purgatory hell. So, I'm not really in that camp to look at things from a purgatory hell standpoint for your salary cap. All right. Niners was another one that someone asked about, just they were curious, like, pull it up or whatever. Possible, but the fact they drafted Trey Lance, only 14 million plus the 20 million, they'd be right there, like 34 million available. That the 49ers might have to cut one of these guys. And I don't remember when Nick Bosa's contract's coming up. I think it's this year, guys, unless they exercise his 5th-year option. So I'd have to look into it a little bit more with Nick Bosa here. Just click on it here real quick, see what Nick Bosa, when his contract's coming due. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like they did a 5th-year option on Nick Bosa, which is probably smart. So they probably don't have to pay Nick Bosa this next year, but they'll have to pay him the year after. So the Niners could be a fit, but they may have to look at their who's on their roster and potentially look at maybe cutting somebody. Like, look at this. They could get rid of or trading somebody. They could get rid of Christian McCaffrey and save $12 million with zero dead money. So that they probably, looking at this, I bet you they get rid of Christian McCaffrey after this year, which I know people would say is crazy, but you know what? Yeah, I'm getting alerts on my phone. What was the other one here? Cardinals. Someone said something about Cardinals. So, and the point, guys, is like everybody does these clickbait videos, and like, do they even like look at this? Like, there's so many morons, dudes, talking, and they just do clickbait shit to make money off of YouTube. Most of them, a lot of them aren't even Raider fans, but whatever. All right, so 17 million, for the Cardinals, they'd be at 37 million. But the thing is, the Cardinals guys, they did that big contract with find him in here. Where is he? Unless I missed him. Kyler Murray. Sorry. Yeah. See, so Kyler Murray, negative 80 million, guys, negative 80 million. You know what I'm saying? So, and then 96 guaranteed. So the Cardinals wouldn't be somebody willing to explore that option with Derek Carr. So the Cardinals is a no. Like, some people were saying, I know the Bears got a lot of money, and some people are like, doing this clickbait stuff like, oh, Derek Carr for Justin Fields. Dude, come on, guys. I mean, they do have enough money where they could do it if they want to. Justin Fields is a running back that can throw. That's what Justin Fields is. He's got an okay arm, but he's really a running back that can throw. So I don't think that's a realistic possibility for Derek Carr to go there, but you never know. You never know. All right, so I'm gonna pull up the chat again, kind of getting here, see if you guys are wanting to look at anything else. think that was pretty much all the teams I wanted to break down. So I'll show you guys here real quick. The Bears got like 107 million available. Then the Cardinals, that one, share that screen. They're at like 17.5, but with the Kyler Murray contract, it's like not even. It's not possible. Not only is it not possible, it's just not logical. So I'm going to say no to the Cardinals, the Bears, and the 49ers possibly, but they just drafted a quarterback last year. So I don't think the 49ers would be a fit, if there's any other teams, put it in the chat, let me know. I guess we could look at the Rams, Sean McVay probably won't be coaching there. They're at like -11. They'll probably be +10 after the 20 million cap increase. I'd have to look at Matt Stafford's contract. So yeah, here's the deal, dude. -55 million. Unless Matthew Stafford retires, that's a huge hit. I mean, just look at what happens to the cap space if we were to cut him. And I know other teams can take on his contract, but just watch. Boom. Now it jumps to -67 million. You know what I'm saying? So unless Matthew Stafford wants to retire, which he's probably not because the amount of money he's going to make, I'm not going to say the Rams is even a possibility either. So, all right, we'll pull up in the chat here. Go over one of the things I want to look at too here, guys, is essentially I just want to see kind of look at the draft order because I think that does play a factor, So give me a second here. Let me open up this link. All right. So here's the draft order, guys. All right. And I apologize for these stupid pop-up ads that always come up here. All right. So, all right. Hope you guys can all see that. All right. Jerry Tolley, what's up? Otis. Bosa cost them a good. Hell yeah, dude. Shout out to everybody. Cheers. Green Bay, if Rodgers retires, all right, let's look at that one. I know some people are talking about that one. That's a good one to pull up. All right. So Packers. Click over, make sure you guys can see it. All right. Okay. All right. So this is the Packers right here. -14 million. So they'll probably be +5 million after the 20 million increase. And it could, give or take, could be a little bit more. Looking at Aaron Rodgers' contract, guys. I mean, -68 million. -68 million. Oh crap. How did I mess it up? Okay. So let's say we were like, all right, we were to cut him. I know that's not going to happen. He'd have to retire, right? But if you cut him, -82 million, right? So another team would have to take that on. There'd have to be some sort of something done with the contract to where they wouldn't eat that kind of money. Okay. So everybody that this whole wishing well that Aaron Rodgers is coming to the Raiders is not happening, guys. I mean, I hate to break it to you, people that are like, well, I want Aaron Rodgers. He's a great player. I'd love to have him too. But their general management, they can't do this, guys. They can't do this. You know what I mean? There's maybe some ways they could get around it, but this is not likely at all. Let alone are the Raiders willing to take on that much money and eat, even if we could make it happen. If we say our cap space, okay, let's pull up the Raiders. Okay. I do want to make a separate video on this, but let's just pull up the Raiders. We're going to be, so they haven't cut Derek Carr. Okay. So Derek Carr is guaranteed the 29 million, right? So if we cut him, right? So say we don't trade him and we cut Derek Carr, let's just see how it jumps. So do you guys see that? Jumped from about 20 million, we'll say, and it jumped up to 50 million right here. Plus say the $20 million cap increase. So that 50 is going to be probably close to $70 million. Okay. But if you think about it, so let's say it was at 70. Okay. Let's just, fictitiously say it was at 70. If you pay Aaron Rodgers, you're going to take on at least $50 million per year, even if you restructured his contract or something, and then you only have $20 million available. Do you guys think $20 million available after you paid Aaron Rodgers would be enough money to go get the talent we need on this team? Whether you go D-line, linebacker, cornerback, offensive tackle, would that $20 million left over be enough to go and get somebody that's going to like be a day one starter, difference maker? That's one player, guys. That's one cornerback, maybe one defensive lineman, and that's it. Like, you got no money left after that. So the Aaron Rodgers talk, it's all bullshit, guys. I mean, I don't want to be mean or whatever, but it's fictitious. It's horseshit, man. It ain't fucking happening, It's the wishing well, like, oh, if we did this, that would be great. Yeah, everything's great from a fan hat perspective. We start looking at it with our brains and we start looking at it from a general manager standpoint, it ain't fucking happening. So Aaron Rodgers ain't going to be a Raider. He's not. Justin Fields is not going to be a Raider. People do these clickbait videos with 100,000 plus subs, and they literally, aren't even like looking at this shit as like they're not being realistic, and they're not looking at the details and the data that, says something about it. So, all right, enough with that rant or whatever. So let's get into the draft order, because this makes a difference too, guys, right? This makes a difference too. We look at the draft. All right, so the Bears, they got Justin Fields. Bears don't necessarily need a quarterback, but if they're not convinced on Justin Fields, maybe they want to go with a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or whatever. But so, if they don't want one of those quarterbacks, they could get a stud, like, offensive tackle or defensive tackle, edge rusher. But if they don't want to go that route, well, guess what? Chicago can trade back. Chicago could trade with, like, say, maybe the Saints here. Okay. Look, Seattle has Denver's pick. Seattle needs a quarterback, right? They pick 5th overall, guys, right? Colts need a quarterback. They pick 4th overall. Cardinals, they don't need a quarterback, right? So teams that need a quarterback, check it out. You got the Texans, okay? They need a quarterback. Colts, they need a quarterback, okay? So we could fill in Bryce Young for the Texans. For the Colts, we could fill in CJ Stroud, right? And then who's left? Will Levis. You got the Seahawks right here. They need a quarterback. Detroit, I don't remember the dude they got, how long he's with Detroit and how long that contract is. But Detroit might want to go get a quarterback. Maybe not. Falcons need a quarterback, right? Panthers need a quarterback. Saints need a quarterback. Tennessee possibly, right? So what does this tell you guys? Jets, they need a quarterback. Here's how I look at this right now, right? We got one quarterback off the board here, right? We got 2 quarterbacks off the board right here, okay? Unless they go get Derek Carr or a veteran, okay? And then who's left? Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. People are going to be fighting for a quarterback, Seattle lucked out that Denver sucked this year because they got the 5th overall pick, you know what I'm saying, from that trade from Russell Wilson. So Seattle's in a great position to go get like a pretty good quarterback, but there still could be somebody available by the time we pick. But it may not be probable, guys, to be honest with you, depending on what happens in free agency and where Derek Carr goes or some of these other quarterbacks, it may not be probable. The Falcons might want to move up and trade up to get their quarterback of the future. The Jets, they might be willing to trade up and move up. If I'm the Raiders, right, I'm looking to move back at least one spot, and I'd say, hey, I'll trade you one spot. Give me a 2nd round pick this year. I want your 2nd round pick. I'll move back one spot. Or say the Jets, I need to move up. We're going to move back a few spots, but we'll still be able to get a good player here at 13, right? So if we're not going to get a quarterback this year, right, or if none of them are available for like where we're picking in the draft, then I would try to trade with the Jets if they don't get a quarterback in free agency, and make them give us a 1st round in 2024, make them give us a 2nd round this year, and possibly a 3rd round. I'd say give me your 1st for 2024 next year, and then your 2nd and your 3rd round this year. At least a 1st next year and a 2nd this year. That would be my minimum. And if you trade back to 13, we can still get a stud. We can still get some good players. So there's going to be a lot of interesting things that could happen here, guys, when it comes to the draft. And this is kind of a separate video. But Washington, they need a quarterback. So the point is like it's all fluid. Okay. That's I guess my main point, right? Is everything is like a flowing motion with these quarterbacks and where they're going to go, because a lot of this depends on where they're drafting in the draft. If you're the Colts and you have a chance to get a CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, are you going to pass up one of those two guys to get Derek Carr? I mean, would you? It's an honest conversation to have. If I'm the general manager of the Colts, I'm going to say no. I don't want Derek Carr over CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. And could you blame them? I mean, you're going to save a shit ton more money unless they're in a win now mode. Okay, if they have to win now and they feel like they have the roster to make a run at it, and Derek Carr is the missing piece, then I would say Derek Carr would be a good option for them. But looking at this, guys, I'm going to say to the Colts and the Texans, even though their money and their financials, when we went through it, or at least the Texans was yes, the Colts was I got my notes here. 1 second. Because there's a lot of teams I went through, so I get them kind of mixed up a little bit. Colts were no, unless they trade or cut DeForest Buckner. So if we go in, we look at the Colts here. They don't have the money, guys. They don't have the money unless they're willing to go in and DeForest Buckner, who I'd love to have. Don't get me wrong. Dead money be zero. It'd be a hit of $19.75 million. But we click on DeForest Buckner over here, interior defensive lineman. Okay. He's a stud, guys. A little bit older, but he's a stud. This guy would be a difference maker for the Raiders right now. But they have to be willing to move on from him, and we would have to do a trade to the Colts for him, and we got to be willing to take on a $20 million hit. You know what I'm saying? So the only way I see the Colts, doing a deal for Derek Carr, if they wanted to go that route, would be if they trade us DeForest Buckner. Okay, that's it. I don't see any other way that they'd want to do that, and they may not want to do that, guys. And you can't necessarily blame them. They pick high in the draft. They can go get a quarterback of their future right now. They may not win right now, but they can lock somebody in. So, again, these are all the things that like I'm looking at, guys. Go back to the draft order. The Colts pick 4th overall. So what makes sense? Does it make sense for them to do a trade for Derek Carr, take on that contract, or does it make better sense and they'd have to get rid of DeForest Buckner? Or does it make better sense that they just get their quarterback in the draft and they don't have to do crap? You know what I mean? They'll still have money available, free money, after the cap increase, to where they could draft a quarterback and still get some talent in free agency. So that's interesting, so the yeses, to go over it again, Jets were no, Colts were no, or Jets were no unless they trade 2 players. Colts were no unless they cut or trade DeForest Buckner. Bucks and Saints are hell no. They just straight up don't have enough money, so count them out of it, right? Patriots, no, they're not going to take the hit for Mac Jones' contract. Panthers were a maybe if they're willing to trade or cut Shaq Thompson and maybe one other player like the center Pat Eflin. Titans maybe, but they'd have to cut Ryan Tannehill and possibly one other player like their offensive lineman Taylor Lewan. Dolphins is a no unless they're willing to cut at least 3 players. Commanders is yes if they cut Carson Wentz. Ravens were yes. Texans were yes. Falcons were yes. Seahawks were yes. So my yeses were the Commanders, Ravens, Texans, Falcons, Seahawks, right? But the deal is, here's Texans, right? Here's Seahawks, okay? Those were both yeses. Falcons right here, okay? And then Seahawks, okay? All of them picked pretty high in the draft. Atlanta could try to move up. Maybe Atlanta does a trade with Arizona or something. Maybe Atlanta trades with the Bears if they really fall in love with CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe all these guys go a completely different direction and somehow CJ Stroud falls to us. Because some mock drafts, it's possible CJ Stroud falls to us, or maybe they want Will Levis or whatever, The Falcons could maybe trade with us. But you got the Seahawks here. They need a quarterback too. So, potentially between the Seahawks, the Colts, and the Texans, 3 quarterbacks could come off the board. So when I say yes, the Seahawks could sign Derek Carr and be a fit, but look how high they're picking. When I say yes, the Texans could get Derek Carr, but look how high in the draft they're picking. That almost like sends a red flag to me as a no to Derek Carr, right? A no to Derek Carr. Why would you take on that kind of contract if you feel like you can get somebody younger, not as much money, and has more talent? Okay. So this almost, even though the numbers work out, Texans is probably no. I'm going to say the Seahawks is probably no. Falcons, that's a good one because they're like kind of in the middle of the road in the draft order. That would be a maybe. Panthers were a maybe, I believe. Yeah, Panthers were maybe, but they'd have to cut Shaq Thompson, So, Panthers may want to move up in the draft to get a quarterback instead of trying to get a Derek Carr. The Saints can't sign a contract like Derek Carr has, and this is now Philadelphia's pick. So, and then here's the Texans. They have the Cleveland Browns pick. So the Texans have another pick right here. So the Texans, because they have 2 picks in the first round, the Texans have a lot of options here, guys. If say the Texans did go out and get a Derek Carr, the Texans could trade back or trade with, say the Texans are like, all right, I'm going to trade with you. Let's say the Falcons, okay? The Texans could do a trade with the Falcons. The Falcons could move up and end up getting their quarterback, the best quarterback. And then even though the Falcons have the money to sign a Derek Carr, they may not need to because they can move up in the draft. So there's so much to this, guys, more than just clickbait. Like, oh, the Saints because of Dennis Allen, or oh, this thing or that thing. There's just a lot of moving parts to this that make it a lot more complicated than a simple oh, well, to me in my brain, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So blow this up a little bit. Hopefully you guys see it a little better there. All right. It's kind of getting to some of your guys' comments. All right. Torik, what up, man? Yeah, I'm happy the Chargers lost too. Feel like Justin, feel bad for him. I'm happy. Trevor won. That's my 3rd favorite QB. So Raiders ain't in the playoffs. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm glad they lost too. So all right. TGWH. Yeah. When you look into it, guys, here's what I'm saying. I'm gonna take myself off screen so my picture doesn't let me see here a second. Hold on. Oh, that doesn't really work. Trying to do it so you guys can see the draft thing. Oh, there we go. All right. Just hit the wrong thing. All right. So, looking at this, guys, I mean, when you do a deeper dive into it, and that's why I wanted to do this, dude, there's things that make sense and don't make sense. I thought Tampa Bay would be a good fit, but when you crunch the numbers, some of it just is not smart. Would it be smart if you were the general manager to take on that kind of deal? You know what I mean? So, Southside, shout out to you. He said the Commanders named Sam Howell QB1 for 23 earlier today. All right. Well, fair enough. So you count the Commanders out of it, even though they have the money. Cuban Raiders said Seahawks are a great fit for Carr. I think they could be too, man. I think Seahawks are in a more of a win now mode than some of these other teams. I actually like the Seahawks. I think that's a sneaky one people aren't talking enough about, would be the Seahawks, guys. It does get cold there. I lived in Washington for 1 year. Rains a lot or whatever, but I could see the Seahawks being a good fit for Derek Carr, West Coast team. So, shout out to you, Otis. Said Miami's warm to his career is going to be done because of concussions. Yeah, but they still got to get rid of some players if they want Derek Carr. Alex said Bears next. I did the Bears. I know I'm behind in the chat, so DC can't wait to win in the cold. Raiders 7528. It said so by Kardashian logic, despite LA Chargers only scoring 3 points in the second half and out last crucial drive, it was the defense fault for the loss. Shout out to you, Raiders 7528. Appreciate it, man. Falcons could be, kind of depends on this draft order, man. Falcons are going to have to trade up in the draft if they want to get a quarterback, unless they're willing to get Will Levis or whatever, or Anthony Richardson. One of those guys might fall to them unless the Raiders pick one of them up. Because again, you got Texans, Colts, Seahawks, and Raiders all need quarterbacks. Okay. So someone might want to trade to move up, but that's 4 quarterbacks right there. Now, if the Raiders don't go quarterback, the Falcons could either wait and gamble or do a trade with us. Okay. I would trade them our pick, move back 1 spot for at least a second or at least a 3rd round this year, maybe a second. So Jerry Tolley, shout out to you. LA's defense got torched and Bosa penalty hurt him bad. Yeah. I thought it was pretty funny. Bosa crying like a little girl. Who's crying now, bitch? He always saying Derek Carr's crying. Who's crying now, Bosa, huh? Shout out to you, Ryan Miller. Aaron Rodgers retires. Went over that one. Yeah, hit the like, guys. Shout out to you, Jerry. Thomas missed Carr. I did too, man, but, it's not the first time we've gone through quarterbacks, bro. I'm not sure how old you are, how long you've been a Raiders fan, but, there's potential. It's not like we're just, only able to do the Tom Brady thing. There's other options as well. So Ryan Miller, facts, dude. That's what I'm saying, bro. A lot of these teams have really bad, and I went into it deeper in my last video. I just did a quick brush over, but when you break it down as like a general, like you put your GM hat on, right, and you look at it from a different standpoint, you realize how much of these teams would it even be possible, Derek Carr ain't going to the Saints or Tampa Bay. I can say that, like, I'd put my paycheck on those 2 teams. Those are not going to happen. They just don't have enough money, and they can't keep backloading contracts, guys. They're too much. They got to cut guys. They got to figure out a way to cut guys to get under the salary cap, even with the cap increase. So, all right. Otis said he doesn't think Aaron Rodgers be playing in Green Bay next year, be 40. The way he walked offset a lot. You could be right, man. I mean, you could be right. Rodgers might just hang it up. He's made a lot of money. You know what I mean? But you also got to think too, are you willing to walk away from $50 million, man? If you can make $50 million to put your body through one more year of this shit, would you do it? I don't know. Like, I think I'd figure out a way just to like muscle through it or whatever, dude. 50 mil is a lot to leave on the table, but to each his own, man. I mean, if he does hang it up, I mean, shout out to him, man. He's like moving on to bigger, better things. So Raiders 7528, shout out to you. Said Colts moving up to number 1. They could. You're right. That's a possibility, I think that's a good take. That's a good way to think about it. Colts trading with Chicago. Chicago could trade back, 1, 2, 3 spots, only 3 spots. They're still going to get a stud at number 4th overall. So depending on what Chicago would be willing, what Chicago wants to be able to trade with the Colts, if they want too much, the Colts may not be willing to give away that much draft capital, but I don't know, but this is why I say, like, you always draft your guy, right? You always draft your guy that you want. Raider Nation for life. Shout out to you. Thanks. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not big on social media. Sometimes I'll get on there, but that place is just a cesspool. So sometimes I'm behind the curve a little bit, but he said, Colts said they're out on the Derek Carr thought. So if they are, then yeah, I mean, we could cancel them out of the picture as well. And I don't think they, like I said earlier, they're in the probably the no to maybe picture. They'd have to still like free up some money. You know what I mean? So they don't really have enough money, even if they wanted Derek Carr, really. So, and they pick high enough in the draft. Why do they really need to? Who do we really want as our QB1? I mean, it depends. It really depends. So this is another like separate video, but it really depends if we really want Tom Brady, if the coaching staff really wants Tom Brady. If you're in a win now mode, you go get Tom Brady. If you're in a rebuild mode, you draft your guy. Okay. That's kind of how I look at it. If we're going to get Tom Brady, I don't think we draft a quarterback super high in the first round. I don't, I think we should do that next year because Brady's going to want at least a 2-year contract, whether we want it or not. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it as of now. subject to change. So Otis said, we all know DC is going by February 15th, one way or the other, traded or cut. If I'm the GM, I cut him. I know everyone wants to trade, but he or the other team can back out and cost the Raiders $40 million. Yeah, and that's where I'm at. That's why I said, and like thinking about it from Carr's perspective, guys, right? Which I know some people don't want to do. Carr could get screwed because say we hit free agency, right? We hit free agency, and then all that quarterback carousel, and everybody teams are like hot to trot to sign players, dude. It's like Black Friday in the NFL, right? Everybody's rushing to go buy shit or whatever, and if something happens and the deal falls through, well, then Carr would be left hanging, and then he doesn't have a chance to go after the teams that he wants as well. So it could screw over Derek Carr, and that's the factor we haven't considered as well. So that's where I'm at. I'm like, dude, it's a $5 million cap hit. Yeah, I'd rather not take a $5.6 million hit, but we just move on, dude. Let him be a free agent, guys. Let him decide where he wants to go. Let him determine his own future. I can't blame a guy for that, in my opinion. So Raider Nation for Life said, we might need to trade back because of how Gruden hurt our drafts all those years. We need as many picks as we can to get the future. I like that. That's where I'm at. To be honest with you guys, that's where I'm at. If we get Brady, right, hopefully they don't overpay him, but I say we trade back in the draft. We get an extra second round or third round pick. We can get studs in the second or third round. Dude, I'm telling you, we can get some really super duper fucking awesome guys. We can get a D tackle in the first 3 rounds. If we got an extra pick, right? Think about it. We could at least get 1 D tackle. We could get a middle linebacker. We could get at least 1 cornerback, and that still leaves a 4th option, for somebody we could get, possibly a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So there's options if that the Raiders have. We're not tied into this. We're actually in a pretty good position, guys. As much as I critique the franchise and stuff, we have options on the table as far as the draft goes. And the money that will be freed up from not keeping Carr. So if we kept Carr, our options would be limited, okay? Carr's value went down because he didn't play that good. If he would have played good, he'd probably still be on the team. Clark, shout out to you, said not Brady. I don't like him. I don't want it to happen, but it's probably going to happen, dude. So I'm trying to wrap my head around it. It's probably more of a possibility than not. So Otis said, I'm calling Miami. We'll get him. 2 will be cut. His future up with air and head injuries. It could happen, but they still got to get rid of 2 to 3 players, man. So, in a trade or something like that to free up the money. So Raiders fan said, won't surprise me if Stroud stay another year. The deadline, the 16th of the month to decide. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Some of these guys could decide to play another year. But I mean, if you're a college quarterback, if you did good and you have a chance to go in the first round, you're going to make damn good money. You know what I'm saying? Versus if you play college another year, you could get hurt, your draft stock could drop, and then you're not making as much money. So there's a money aspect to this as well. You know what I mean? If I was a college player and I could stay another year in college, or I could move on and make some money, I would probably, honestly, I would probably move on and make some money. So, and not risk getting hurt. So Otis said, you might be looking at top 5 teams that might draft him. He might not want to play. Hell, I don't know. Cuban Raider, yeah, shout out to you. Interested to see where Carr will land. SG. I don't know if that's a Sergeant or something. The Jets and the Panthers have high interest in DC. Yeah, but I went through. I know I'm behind on the chat a little bit, but like I said, when you look at the numbers, right? Jets and Panthers. Jets have to cut at least 2 cut or trade 2 players. So CJ Mosley has to be in the mix, right? They have to be willing to get rid of CJ Mosley. The Panthers have to cut at least 1, maybe 2 players, starting with linebacker Shaq Thompson. Okay. So right there is 2 linebackers, and we need linebackers. So it's possible, dude. I mean, both of them are possible, but those teams have to be willing to move on from their stud linebackers. That's the only way that trade works, guys. Whether it's a trade, whether we traded Derek Carr, whether we released Derek Carr, they would have to dump the contracts or trade the contracts on the Jets, CJ Mosley, and the Panthers have to be Shaq Thompson, dude. So they just don't have enough money otherwise to take on Derek Carr's contract, even if Derek Carr restructures his contract. So shout out to you, James. Hopefully you're doing good. That's right. Raider Nation for life. Raiders. We all eating barbecue chicken tonight. How about them chokers, man? So glad they lost. All right, Otis said Carolina might be a better fit. New York fans boo Santa Claus. Yeah, I mean, and Carolina, the Panthers, that's a lot warmer for Derek Carr, so that might be a better fit for him. But the coaching situation is something to consider as well. Who's going to be the offensive play caller? Derek Carr has to go learn a whole new playbook unless they get someone like a Greg Olson or whatever. So, all right, Sean, shout out to you. What's the mock draft saying on the Tonga page on your as far as what you're saying, mock draft? All right. Hold on, dude. I'll click back on that. We go over there. Mock draft. That's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, so 2023 mock draft. So this is saying Will Anderson would get an the Bears would get Will Anderson, edge rusher. Let me shrink this down a bit. Bryce Young would go to the Texans. Jalen Carter would go to the Cardinals. CJ Stroud would go to the Colts. Miles Murphy, edge rusher, to the Seahawks. Tyree Wilson would go to the Lions. And then the Raiders would get Will Levis. So I wouldn't hate that. I want to do more research on Will Levis. I've done some on Anthony Richardson. I really like CJ Stroud. That's kind of my guy. And then they have Byron Breesy, defensive lineman, going to the Falcons. I do like this guy. If Raiders going to get Jalen Carter, I do like this guy for a defensive lineman. Let's see. Joey Porter would go to the Patriots. Oh, I would hate that, dude. Joey Porter's going to be a stud. I hope the Patriots don't get him. Keely Ringo, that guy's a stud cornerback from Georgia. Anthony Richardson would go to the Washington Commanders. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think I know some people don't have Anthony Richardson that high, and he's like a work in progress kind of quarterback. I don't think it's going to last this long, guys. I don't. If the Falcons need a quarterback, why wouldn't the Falcons draft Anthony Richardson here? You know what I'm saying? So I'm not convinced, just looking at this, that they would want to go that route. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, kind of leave that up for you guys, and we'll keep going through this chat here, try to get caught up a little bit. Well, situation like DeMar, I don't know who you're talking about. Let's see. Trades, free agency, draft penalty of ways to get a QB, or just keep Stidham and draft a QB. That might be, as much as like we might want somebody more flashy, like an Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson or some shit like that, guys. That might be the smartest way to go about this, to be honest with you guys. Because think about it, right? We could draft a quarterback high in the draft, right? We'd have a lot of money available to spend in free agency between this year and next year. We're not tied up to a quarterback long term or nothing like that. And Stidham may not be a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, right? But it really depends, like what you said here. I think that's some like a really good comment and some good critical thinking. It depends if we're in a win now mode or if we're just building long term. If we're in a win now mode, the Stidham project with drafting a quarterback doesn't work. Okay, and I'm not critiquing you. I'm looking at all sides of this. If we're in a win now mode, because we have some of these guys on 3-year contracts, going to be 2 years after the year that just ended. Brady would be the way to go, a veteran quarterback that you don't have to overpay. But Brady might not be cheap, guys. He might want 35 mil, maybe more. I mean, shit, I don't know. But he said, all right, Otis said, get him, sign a 3-year deal maybe, and then groom a QB to take over. I'm not, it's not like I'm like saying like Stidham can't be the guy or something. So shout out to you, Pete. I wonder if that's Pete from Pillaging Podcast. Is that Pete from Pillaging Podcast? Shout out to you, brother, man. Good to see you too. Projected draft capital with a load of comp picks in 23. Are you saying this the Raiders? What? Projected draft capital 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14. I thought it was 12 picks. So like to be honest with you, like two of these 5th round picks and one like two of these 5th round picks and one of the 6th round picks, I didn't think we had. But you could be right. Because I know the compensatory picks are like they don't release those till like later on. So yeah, I'm excited for free agency too, man. I'd love to get either a linebacker, defensive lineman, and a cornerback. We really need all three. I just don't know if we'll have enough money to get all three. So shout out to Pete. Said trade and move back for more picks. Take whatever you get for Carr and trade for Lance. All right, Cuban Raider said Jetsy likes. Al's go. Salute to you, man. Wheat and barbecue chicken tonight. Chokers lost again. Kenneth Evans, dude, thanks for coming in here. Them putting all their eggs in the Brady basket is a big risk. And me personally, I think Brady will retire. I'm going to do a separate video on it. I don't think he's going to retire, guys. I think he wants to be – he's broken almost every record, but the oldest quarterback to ever throw a pass in the NFL. The only way he breaks the oldest quarterback is to beat George Blanda's record, who broke it, and George Blanda was like 48 years old. So next year, Brady will be 46. So Brady's going to want a team to be at least a 2, maybe a 3-year deal so he can break George Blanda's record. And George Blanda at 48 years old, he only threw 3 passes for 11 yards. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe you're right, dude. We'll see. Sargent said one of our biggest off seasons in history. That's a fact, man. That's a fact. We got a lot of things moving forward to either look up to or get right. So yeah, that's a good comment. All right, Jay Zong, shout out to you. Said the best fit was the Raiders, but McDaniel Ziegler messed it up because all they had to do was focus on defense. Carr staying in the West Coast. He could, but I'm gonna cancel Rams out of there. Niners probably not going to happen, especially with Bosa's contract coming up the following year. I'm going to say the Niners probably wouldn't be a fit, so that only leaves the Seahawks. So it really depends on what direction the Seahawks want to go and if they want to spend that kind of money on a quarterback. So Kenneth Evans said he believes that Carr will force a release and pick his team and then sign a team-friendly deal so he can have a better chance of winning next season. You could be right, but what's team-friendly, right? Derek Carr said he gave us a team-friendly deal in 2017 with a contract extension, and his definition of a team-friendly deal was to be paid the highest quarterback in the NFL at $25 million a year. So was that a team-friendly deal? So I don't know. All these guys want to get paid, man. All of them. None of them are given team-friendly deals. Name the last quarterback that really gave a team-friendly deal. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, to me, a team-friendly deal would be 25 million. You think Derek Carr is willing to take 25 million? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, he's willing to do that for a team, or is team friendly a $35 million contract. 35 million a year isn't very team friendly in my opinion, right? It's a little better than 40, but 25, 30 mil or 35, 35 or 30, 35 mil, that's not team friendly. That's a lot of money, right? So I don't know. I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see. I mean, Derek Carr said this last contract to the Raiders was team friendly. It wasn't team friendly, guys. But I'm just going to leave it at that. So Derek Carr should have done a contract for the Raiders where he was making 25 mil. That would have been team friendly. We could have worked with that, guys, even with the mediocre play at times. Yeah, shout out to you, Cuban Raider. Anthony Richardson is crazy. He's got a lot of talent, dude. I looked at some of his tape. Dude, if you watch his feet, he's throwing the ball so unconventional as a quarterback. It's all like arm strength and just full athletic ability. But I'd like to see him work on his footwork when he's throwing the ball. Like, I know he can like make these throws and stuff, not having his feet planted right because he's that talented. But I'd like to see him work on some better mechanics, like throwing mechanics for a quarterback. Other than that, the guy is absolutely insane. Probably of all the quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson has the most upside of all these quarterbacks. I truly believe that. And he very well could be available when the Raiders pick at our pick at 7th overall. Anthony Richardson has the most upside of all these quarterbacks, but a big risk as well. So All right. I'm just going to call you Sergeant. Put in the chat, hey, SGGSG. Let me know if that stands for a sergeant. All right. He said, man, I see teams with their young star QBs. I want a young star QB. It would be nice, guys. It would be nice, man. Yeah, Pete, dude, it is you. Hell yeah. I miss you, Pillaging Pete. Good to see you in here, man. All right, Keep ready to say I wouldn't mind keep Stidham. It's not a bad option, guys. It's not. But he is a free agent, so it kind of depends on what he's going to want for a contract. What's a team-friendly deal going to be for him? 5-10 million? I don't know. You know what I mean? So how many years is he going to want if we were to go that route? So yeah. Said Zay Jones, Quentin Jefferson, and Nicholas Moreau hasn't been adjusted into the draft total comp picks yet. Oh, okay. All right, cool. Thanks, Sean. No, that's good. That's interesting. Yeah, I forgot about that, to be honest with you. You know, I'm not perfect. I try to get all this shit right, but no, that's a good Gonna give me. I'm glad you said that, Sean. Good comment, dude. I'm gonna look into that more. So shout out to you, man. I'll do some research on that. So that's probably gonna change my draft board a little bit and kind of how I'm analyzing things. And then Al's Ghost, shout out to you. He said DC won't want his future team to draft or trade draft picks. That weakens his future also. He also wouldn't want to give the Raiders any draft capital. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying that. I love you, Alice Ghost. I mean, you're probably right. I just think there's more to it than I think there's a lot of moving parts. Like there's that situation and then some. You know what I mean? Does that team have enough money? Does that team have to trade or cut players to work a deal out to bring on Derek Carr? You know, so there's a lot of moving parts. Where do they draft? How high up in the draft do they draft? You know, so there's a lot of different factors that kind of fall in place as far as that goes. And Otis said, don't want to say his name, but number 12 used to do it for a Northeast team. You're right. Okay, so like I'll say it, dude. I know people don't want to, but I know what you're saying. You're talking about Tom Brady, okay? And Tom Brady did give the Patriots some team-friendly deals, but at the same time, all Brady really did, to be honest with you guys, man, he just backloaded the contracts. He just backloaded the contracts where he was still going to make the same amount of money. Just the Patriots were paying Tom Brady for a couple years after he left, even after he left. And then now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be stuck doing the same thing, having to pay this big contract to Brady after he's gone. Imagine being a team that has to pay $35 million to a quarterback that's no longer on your team. That's crazy, guys. That's crazy. This is what happens when you put your team in purgatory hell and you got to backload these contracts and stuff. So, all right. Sergeant said, I'm hyped for the offseason, but at the same time, I'm scared. Yeah. It's interesting, man. It's sketchy, because like this organization, the coaching staff, they haven't earned respect or trust yet. In my opinion, my take is the first step for them to earn our trust is for them to sign Josh Jacobs. That's step number one, in my opinion. Okay. If they don't sign Josh Jacobs, they're going to lose a lot of what little credibility they have as far as like my opinion or whatever. So Jerome, man, shout out to you. He said, do I see Carr speak at church? Kind of sound like he might just consider doing a trade and not hold a grudge. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't want to go off people's religions and stuff, bro, to be honest with you. I mean, the way I look at life is like each man or woman has their own path between them and God, right? And like nobody's going to be there on their judgment day, and like I won't be there on your judgment day and you won't be there on mine, right? So his path between him and God is between him and God. And whether he's preaching or whatever he's doing, dude, that's like more power to him if that's what he wants to do. But like I have no like injection and like, because it's like what his religious beliefs are and stuff like that, he's got to do what's best for him and his family, bro. I mean, just that's how I look at it, what's the best thing for him and his family? And you can never knock a man for wanting to do the best situation for them and their family. I'm a firm believer in that. So Kim Raider said, he never held our OC accountable this season. Yeah, I mean, offensive coordinator. Yeah, Lombardi is Mike Lombardi's son. This is what I'm saying. This is why I'm gonna do another video. I'll break down the coaching staff. But Mick Lombardi has never. He's not an accredited offensive coach, guys. Like he's been like a clipboard guy and like a quarterbacks coach, but never the guy. Okay, and that's huge, right? We got a lot of coaches on the staff that are unproven. Pete said, I love the idea of getting as many picks and saving as much money as possible. We're going to get at least one for Abrams since he played a playoff game. Oh, shit. I didn't think of that either. Yeah, you're right. You know what? Damn, dude. More I'm thinking about this, Raiders released a lot of players. You know, maybe they're not as stupid as we think they are. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, though. We'll see. I'm not going to give them any credit till they prove it. You know what I mean? Other than that, they got to fucking prove this shit. So, all right. Mex Pride, what up? He said if they get Brady, they will need to draft a top secondary coverage or do a trade for a player ready coverage star. So yeah, I mean, I agree with this, man. I mean, we need guys that can cover, somebody like a Travis Kelce, cover over the top and not get burned, right? And we don't have anybody in place that can do that. So Alsco said, is there a recording of DC speaking at his church? I'm not sure, to be honest with you guys. I mean, imagine if you're in church and somebody's pulling out their phone, like recording you. I mean, it's kind of weird, right? So, kind of disrespectful. I know why people would want to do it, but I mean, come on. Are you going to church to like, because it's something you believe in your heart or because you want to hear Derek Carr speak? Okay. So I don't know. Some people might have their priorities fucked up. I'll just say that, dude. And I don't want to get into it other than that. So, all right. So, Mark Torres said, McDaniel's head coaching career is on the line. If he fails with the Raiders, his coaching career is over. Coaches don't get 3 chances. Facts. That's facts, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah, they got to prove it this offseason, guys. Pete said, if we keep Stidham, have a mediocre season next year, I'm completely down with trading the farm for Caleb Williams. And that's the other thing, guys. There's some stud quarterbacks coming out the following draft, right? 2024. I'm not saying I want to tank next year. I want to win a Super Bowl next year. But I'm not opposed to gathering up draft picks for the 2024 draft. And we go hot and heavy to get our quarterback next year. Okay. Sign Brady to a 2-year deal or something, or Stidham or something like that. But we go all in the following draft to get our quarterback. Okay. That's a possibility. I don't hate that idea. I think that could be a good potential idea as well. Because think about it, right? With what Pete just said, we can pull up the screen I had on earlier. All right. We can trade back, guys, like I was saying, dude, right? We pick 7th overall. If we don't feel like our guy is in this draft for a quarterback, we can trade back with the Jets, right? Maybe the Washington Commanders here. We can trade back and we can ask for their first round pick in 2024. Okay. I've done this in a few of my like mock draft simulators, I haven't done a video on it, but because the first one I did was essentially if we were getting Tom Brady. Okay. But I'm not opposed to us looking at options to trade back with the Jets or one of these other teams that need a quarterback, right? And we gather draft capital for the following year, meaning 2024. So, I mean, that's a good way to look at it as well, man. So said, Raiders, shout out to you. Said, after today, Seahawks getting a QB. I mean, I think they are. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, Geno Smith did pretty good, but they pick high enough in the draft. They're probably going to go get a quarterback. They'd be dumb to not use that draft pick to get a stud quarterback. That's my opinion. They got no dead money tied up with any quarterback. They're in the prime position, dude. The Broncos tanking like helped the Seahawks a lot. You know what I mean? And it hurt the Broncos. But Otis, shout out to you. Said it's a smart business from a player. I wish my boss would pay me for 3 years after I'm done. Yeah, see what I'm saying, dude? That's what I'm saying, dude. You're gonna pay me $35 million after I'm gone? Hell yeah, dude. I like that severance package, dude. So Al's Ghost said some NFL analysts are saying the best bet is to tag and trade Jacobs because the Raiders are in full rebuild mode now. I would hate that. I mean, you could be right. I just hope that doesn't happen, bro. I want Jacobs to stay a Raider, man. We need a guy like that on our team, man. Oh, Jerome said that statement had nothing to do with religion. All right, maybe I misinterpreted it, so I apologize. Said, bro, DC needs to be held accountable. Boy, his ass. Yeah, I mean, he's not on the team, bro. So, like, I don't disagree with you. I've gone in hard on Derek Carr, but just moving forward, it ain't going to change nothing at this point, bro. I mean, he does need to be held accountable, but he's no longer on the team. So, all right. Super Omicron said, yes, Carr has spoken. It's on Review Journal YouTube page. All right. So Las Vegas Review has clips talking about Derek Carr. You talking about Derek Carr at church or something? Did he say something today? Was that today or is that tomorrow? Super Omicron said Derek May, Caleb Williams will be QBs to look for. Tony Shefford said, hope DC is a Panther next year. Keep 28 for sure. Wish we picked up his options. Draft a lot of defense, another lineman or two. Go Raiders in 2023. Hell yeah. I like it, man. I like it. We got options, guys. We got options. We're not crippled, man. We got a lot of things, a lot of directions we could go. So I like having opportunities and options. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of different things you could consider and game plans you could have. So Jerome said, I think Carr had them record it for us fans and had the Review Journal post it. Carr told everyone he was going to speak church and post it. Carr was like, let's not stay in negativity in his sermon. How long was the speech, Jerome? I haven't watched it yet. Maybe I could try to pull it up here, do a live. Otis said JJ's a Raider, mindset and all. Something the coaches and GM and owner don't know what it means to be a Raider. Clark, shout out to you. Said I saw the Carr preaching. You can watch it on the review. That's Las Vegas Review Journal page, Jerome. Let's see if I can find it in here. Give me a second, guys. All right, you guys in the chat, you want to watch this thing with Derek Carr? We'll do a live reaction. Hopefully I don't get flagged. You guys want to watch this? All right, we're going to watch this, guys. All right. Hopefully, let me see if I do this or something.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to come at you, but I'm a little fired up these past couple weeks. I've gone through some stuff a little bit, right? And I found out that nothing can take my feet out from under me. There's nothing that can come against me where I'm not going to win in the end. I'm a little fired up I'm not trying to come at you, but I'm a little fired up these past couple weeks. I've gone through some stuff a little bit, right? And I found out that nothing can get me down. Nothing can take my feet out from under me. There's nothing that can come against me where I'm not going to win in the end. There's nothing that can come against my household where the Spirit of God breaks it free and says, we don't need to worry about that. Y'all know how many text messages I've gotten saying, are you okay? Stop asking if I'm okay. You don't really know me if you're asking if I'm okay. You don't know the God that I know. I'm just kidding.
I love when people say, because I'm like, man, y'all really love me. Thank you. Thank you so much for praying for me. Yes, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. But y'all understand my heart. We got to get out of the negativity. We got to stop complaining. What are those things that are holding you captive? Quit being comfortable there. It's easy to stay there. It's easy to point the finger at other people. It's easy to blame others. Trust me, I had a lot of family members trying to do that for me. But I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. That's comfortable for me. That really could be a comfortable place, but I'm going to step out of that. I'm going to say, I just can't wait to be better myself. I'm just going to keep striving to be the best version of me that I could be. I'm going to keep trying to be better for whatever I do next. I'm going to keep trying to, and it's uncomfortable. It's so easy to do it the other way. It's so easy to do this. It's so easy to do that. But instead, I said, Lord, what is it that you're trying to reveal to me in this season? Lord, what is it that you're trying to do in my heart in this season? Patience? Forgiveness? Do they deserve it? Doesn't matter. He didn't ask me if they deserve it. He didn't ask me if they deserve that. That wasn't on the agenda for me. The agenda for me was just forgive. The agenda for me was have peace. How? In my presence. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. But we got to get out of this place of this comfortableness in this captivity. We can't. 9 years, one place. It's been hard. I always make this joke. I said, franchises are heavy. Franchises are heavy to carry. They're heavy. But aren't we thankful that whatever it is that God has asked you to do, that he can be the one to say, why don't you just put it in my hands? Why don't you just give it back to me? I have walked through the hardest times of my life, not knowing if my son was going to make it, not knowing if my grandpa was going to make it, not knowing what's next, not knowing my next step, not knowing these things. And I've walked through these times with an absolute peace and a grace that has covered me.
The thing that's
All right, that was the Derek Carr sermon. You know, hey man, good for him. I'm glad. Sounds like God's working in his life. I'm glad his heart's in a place to be in a positive mindset. Kind of take those things between him and God, and not everybody can forgive. You know, I don't want to get too religious on this. You know, for certain reasons, but you know, if he can be in a better place like that, like I said it before, even as a Derek Carr critic, sorry, I think he's going to do great this year, guys, wherever he goes. This just lit a fire under him. He's going to be so motivated, you know, not that he hasn't been motivated in the past, but I wish the best for him, dude. I really do. I think he's got a bright future, whatever he decides. Okay. And you can't knock a guy for that. Right. And him and the preaching thing, dude. I mean, if that's what he wants to do and that's what he feels where he's led, well, that's his path between him and God, whatever decision he makes. So, you know, said some heartfelt things in there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that little live reaction. You know, said a lot about forgiveness, kind of being kicked in the groin and stuff. And, you know, no matter what someone believes or whatever, like religiously, because I don't want to get into that stuff. I'll just say, like, you know, if you can have a positive mindset in life and if you can move on and look more towards the future than looking behind you, you will always strive for like greatness and better things than when you're looking in the past and being bitter about a lot of things that happened to you in your life, you know. And that's speaking for myself, watching my dad who looked in the rearview mirror too much and didn't like focus more on the mission at hand or the future. So anybody that can get their mindset in a more like kind of goal driven, you know, mindset of moving forward, you know, it helps them. You know, it can help you in life, right? I know some people, sometimes we all have demons, you know, we all struggle with stuff, but anybody that can put themselves in that situation to find the goodness or the like, even in the most messed up situation, be grateful for what you do have instead of like focusing on all the things you don't have. But if you can be grateful for what you do have, no matter what it is, whether you have a lot or a little, and you focus on like moving forward, what you can do better or whatever, you'll be a better person because of it. So shout out to Derek Carr and, you know, that little sermon he did there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I want to wrap up the show here. Otis, shout out to you. Said you got your Raiders starter jacket coming in. Oh, that's sick, dude. I got there's this site that's got these Oakland Raiders. Should I show you guys this? Hold on. I should show you guys this in case you guys want to go. I don't even know this site, but it came up on my thing today, and it's funny because I was looking at this the other day, guys. I was looking at this the other day. This is a sick sweatshirt I'm gonna get here. If all you guys go and buy it, I may not be able to get it, but this is a pretty badass sweatshirt from this site. It's like $35. I'm not sponsored by them or whatever. I'm not like telling you guys to go buy it or anything like that. I'm just saying I saw it. It's on sale for like $35. Oakland Raiders. It's a sick shirt. I saw it in Shields, and it was I think a little bit more than this, but they didn't have my size. I need a large. It's kind of small. Like I usually wear a medium, but the medium is too tight. Like I felt like if it shrinks at all, so I have to get a large. But this site is vintagebrand.com. So, you guys want some Oakland Raiders sweatshirt. I think that's a sick sweatshirt, guys. So I'll just leave that at that. So not promoting them. I don't make nothing off of it. I just thought I'd share that. But yeah, starter jacket. That's like vintage, man. So hell yeah. Accumulator said I was right when you said this would light up DC. Yeah, man. He's gonna be on fire, guys. And I hope he is, except when he plays the Raiders. I actually worry. I'm actually a little concerned if we play him, that he's gonna have a lot of motivation. And I don't want Derek Carr to be at the Raiders, dude. I mean, I love the guy, wish him the best, but I'm a Raiders fan, so so we're reduced watching Joel Steen. Yeah, I ain't gonna say nothing about it because I'm gonna go somewhere. I'll piss some people off, but like I'm religious, but there's some things I have issues with what people do versus what the Bible says, and I'll just leave it at that. So not saying anything against DC, but some of these other cats in these big churches, but I'll just leave it at that. So Brandon, shout out to you, said DC led from the front. I mean, he put his heart in his organization, man. I'll never take that away from DC, man. So hell yeah. Once a Raider, always a Raider, guys. Send this guy out the right way, man. Everybody on social media bashing him stuff. Like I don't like the saying it is what it is. I believe in life, it is what you make it. But like going there, bashing him and his family and all that stuff, it does no good, guys. It's toxic, man. It's toxic to you, your own mental health. It's toxic to Derek Carr, even if it's the facts that he didn't do enough for this organization. It's also the facts this organization, in my opinion, didn't do enough for Derek Carr. It's a double-edged sword, right? So, living in the rearview mirror will do no good. So I'm a firm believer. Like, I just wish him the best. Move forward. No harm, no foul. Like, he did everything he could, and move forward. Hopefully he, does something good with his future and whatnot. So, all right. He said, a lot of comeback wins led from front. That's his brother doing. All right. I'm going to try to keep it positive here, guys. So, that's right. Alsgo said a positive mindset works wonders. Send positive vibes to everyone. Yeah. And I'm not always positive, guys. Don't get me wrong. It ain't like my poop stinks, man. Straight up. Just as much as anyone else. So he said Super Omicron. I mean, you can go back and look at the beginning of the video. He's not going to the Saints, bro. Saints ain't got the money for it. And you can go back and watch it and then do your own research on it. So Miami, another one, you can go back and watch the beginning. Miami's got to dump 2 to 3 players to get Derek Carr. They ain't got the money for it either. So it all sounds good as like a fan perspective. When you start breaking it down from a general manager's perspective, some of these teams don't make sense. And that's what the beginning of the video was about. So you guys can go back and watch that. I do a fair analysis of it. So Pete said, getting my new phone number, bro. Give me a call anytime. I'd love to be on a show with you. Hell yeah, Pete. You can find me on Twitter, bro. I think it's like Raider_hardcore. Shows how much I even care about Twitter and stuff. But I'll post my shows on there sometimes. But yeah, if you're still on Twitter, should be able to find me on there, and you can send me a DM, bro, and we can link up for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to get some shows together here in the off season, so I'd love to have you. it might be a perfect fit, but they ain't got the money, dude. They got to dump like 2 or 3 players. So not gonna go back through that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, retro Oakland Raiders. I like it. I do too, man. It's that I'm telling you, that shirt is sick. That's like one of my favorite sweatshirts, and I've looked for a while. And I'm like, oh yeah, I want that Oakland fucking logo. So yeah, that would be cool if they brought it back. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate you, Jerome, as well, man. You know, and I know not all of us are like, dude, it takes all kinds of mind to make the world go round, right? We're not all on the same side of the fence when it comes to Derek Carr, coaching staff, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, at the end of it, bro, like, guys, it's just like, it just like, as long as we like try our best, and I know I get personal sometimes, I try our best not to get like too personal on this shit, dude. Like, we can have a different opinion without like personally calling people out. Now, when I feel people are taking advantage of Raider fans and Raider organization by some of their clickbait shit, that's where I get a little personal and shit pisses me off, because then I feel like it's not about the shield, right? People stealing, like, literally me and Raider Critique been saying that on this show for years. And other people like straight up stealing like shit we've said for a long time. It's just funny to me, but whatever. You know what I mean? If they bring unity to the Raider Nation, they're doing good things, then that's cool. If they're taking advantage of Raider Nation, that's not cool. So that's where I get personal sometimes. But speaking of which, shout out to Mikey Raider, the OG. All these cats should be giving Mikey Raider tons of respect, if not a portion of how much they're making off of fucking YouTube. Mikey deserves a lot of fucking respect. So Mikey, I love you. Mikey started this, in my opinion, was a huge motivation to a lot of us that are doing what we're doing right now. So a lot of these other guys getting credit for what Mikey started. So Ricardo said, facts, brother, great guy, just not ours. I wish the guy a great future, no matter where he goes. Never hated him. It's just time for a divorce. That's all. Yeah, dude, that's excuse me. That's where I'm at, guys. Just wish them the best. Move on, dude. Hating somebody ain't gonna do you no good. The more we move on, the more we'll be able to like focus on the mission at hand. Okay, and that's where I'm at. I don't need to do, excuse me. I did possible landing spots for Derek Carr, but I'm trying to move on as well. Like, I want to see where this guy can go. And some of these were like absolutely cannot happen. Saints and Tampa Bay are absolute no's. Like, I would bet my paycheck that will not happen. James, shout out to you. He said, all I have to say is he deserved a better send off than how he did, than how they did him. He does. That's facts. I'll admit that. Yeah. People saying Carr just decided to pack up his bags and go home. I think there's more to the story than we're led to believe, guys. So, I think that's, on all parties. And who in the right mind would get fired from a job, but like, you're going to stay there for 2 weeks? Probably not, dude. I've never seen a situation where you're getting fired, not let go or whatever, or not just laid off, but like you're getting fired and you're going to be there for another 2 weeks. I mean, it's unrealistic, guys. I mean, so I don't hold no beef against Derek Carr. People trying to come after his integrity and stuff, I don't agree with that at all. So, Giovanni Lewis, shout out to you, said, they will not trade Derek Carr. He'll be a free agent, so money will not be an issue. Carr does not care about money. He just wants a championship. That's right. Super Omicron, Mikey the OG. Everybody should give Mikey. If you guys, go to his channel. If you aren't already, Raider Central Live, subscribe to Mikey Raider, dude. He's the OG in this shit, man. So a lot of people copied him, and what he started. So nothing but love to Mikey Raider. So Super Omicron said, might be a New York Jet, but that medium, my God, I wish him the best. Again, go back to my videos. Jets got to dump like 1 or 2 guys. They'd have to get rid of CJ Mosley. They just won't have the money to get Derek Carr unless they're willing to sacrifice a lot of stuff on the back end and restructure his contract and make it like a backloaded heavy contract yet, So I would have said, my best jacket I got is a chalk line. Had the logo and the Oakland on the back. Oh, hell yeah. No, I like the Oakland shit so much more than Las Vegas shit, guys. I do. I mean, it just looks cleaner. I just like the word Oakland. I don't know, guys. It's just like not a big fan of the Las Vegas, maybe I'll get used to it. I'm still not used to the Las Vegas Raider like logos and shit. So You think he retires if he did? We'll go back to light the torch at Allegiant in 23. Nah, not that soon, guys. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while. So, I mean, once a Raider, always a Raider. Facts, but it's gonna take a while, like for people's emotions to die down and not be as heavy. Might take a couple years, guys. And who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe some crazy shit will happen. Derek Carr will come back in 3, 4, 5 years and retire a Raider. I mean, fuck, I don't know. So anything's possible, right? But if you burn a bridge, right? If you burn a bridge, then you'll close the door. Raiders kind of burned a bridge with Derek Carr, but what Derek Carr is doing, Derek Carr did not burn a bridge to come back to the Raiders organization at some later point if he wants to retire a Raider. Okay. Who knows? Maybe we can draft a quarterback. He gets hurt. Derek Carr's available and he comes back and he plays like one last year with the Raiders or something. Maybe he kills it and takes us to a Super Bowl, some crazy shit. I'm just saying, you never know. Who would have thought Charles Woodson, when he left, would come back, be a Raider, and retire a Raider? And Charles Woodson was awesome. He lit it up for us. So you never know. Always leave your opportunities open. Like, always try to never burn a bridge. You know what I'm saying? So Giovanni said Carr can go to Miami because it will not be trade. He will release, so Miami will not have players. Won't be for a lot of money. He will take 20 million or less. He'd have to take 20 million or less. Otherwise, they got to get rid of CJ Mosley. But we'll see. You think, I know who you're referring to. Wi-Fi Willie said Derek Carr's taking a team-friendly deal somewhere else. We'll see, right? We'll see. This is where I don't want to get personal, people, but I see these motherfuckers doing this clickbait shit, bro. And what's team-friendly, right? What's team-friendly? Okay, what's the definition of team-friendly? 30 mil, 35 mil, 20 mil. So we'll see. Just remember you said that, okay? Just remember you said that. 20 million or less, okay? And Wi-Fi Willie should remember that shit as well. So, he thinks, Derek Carr's going to do this. We'll see. Derek Carr was supposed to take a friendly deal with the Raiders, and he didn't. So those are the facts. So, like here's where, I'm going to start getting lit on fire, and I don't want to fucking do that. So, all right, I'm going to get off here, man. Hopefully you guys have a good one. You'll know them by their fruit. If you're religious, you'll know them by their fruit. And if they say one thing, they do another, you'll know them by their fruit. If they say they'll do a team-friendly deal and it's not team-friendly, like they say it is, then you'll know them by their fruit. You'll know them by their actions. Just fucking remember that shit. You have all these preachers, everybody going out, talking a good game, but always remember, you'll know a character of a man or a woman by what the fuck they do or don't do. And that's more important than any big church, big sermon, or any fucking bullshit that people put out there in the air. And it's all talk. And talk is fucking cheap. That's all I got to say. I'm hardcore Raider. There's only one nation. That's Raider Nation. Let's fucking go. I'm bleeding silver and black no matter who is on this fucking team. I'm going to fucking end this with some barbecue chicken. I'm going to eat some barbecue chicken tomorrow in tribute to the fucking Chokers losing. Hardcore Raider.
You run right by his ass. Scare him to death. The effort was outstanding. How about those Raiders, man? If you're late for work, if you're out of shape, you're not knowing what to do, you're gonna never, ever be able to live with yourself. So you guys got a chance to do some good things.
The Raiders have won the AFC West.
Those fans at Oakland, they're unlike any others. And I get emotional thinking about it.
Look, happy holidays, Raider Nation nationwide. Let's go. Get some.
Raider!